The Temple Mount in Jerusalem has never been excavated, but an illegal construction project 20 years ago opened the door to some major discoveries.
The Temple Mount Sifting Project is an archaeological adventure whose purpose is to find the empirical proof.
The Temple Mount is one of the most sacred places on Earth, full of history and mystery. Now, scientists have uncovered hidden chambers that were sealed for nearly 2,800 years.
An extraordinarily rare and extremely significant archaeological discovery has been unearthed in Jerusalem.
What's inside could rewrite what we know about ancient Jerusalem. Get ready. This discovery is about to blow your mind. The discovery. Beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, scientists have found something that feels straight out of a mystery novel.
We have uncovered one of the most meaningful items that is a witness to one of the most dramatic events in the history of Jewish people.
For centuries, people have wondered what secrets might lie under this sacred ground. Now, with the help of new technology, researchers have discovered hidden chambers that have been sealed for almost 2,800 years. The find is exciting, mysterious, and deeply meaningful. The Temple Mount is one of the holiest places in the world. It is sacred to Jews, Muslims, and Christians.
The Temple Mount is sacred to three religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Because of this, digging under it has always been off limits. Any attempt to excavate could cause conflict, so archaeologists have never been allowed to explore it the traditional way. This made the area one of the biggest archaeological mysteries on Earth. But instead of giving up, scientists looked for a smarter way. They turned to advanced technology. The main tool they used was ground-penetrating radar.
This ground-penetrating radar technology is revealing evidence, undisputable proof.
This is a method that sends radar waves into the Earth and measures how they bounce back. From this, researchers can create images of what lies underground. The beauty of this method is that it does not disturb the ground at all. Along with radar, scientists used other scanning tools that create three-dimensional maps of what lies below the surface. When the results came in, the team could hardly believe it. The scans showed several chambers under the Temple Mount. These were not random caves. They were man-made rooms, carefully built and connected together like a hidden network. Even more shocking, evidence shows these rooms have not been touched since around 700 years before the birth of Christ. That means they were sealed during a time when ancient Jerusalem was still young. Think about it. Rooms that have been locked away for nearly 3,000 years.
For a defining moment in the history of Jerusalem. Some 3,000 years ago, the Israelite king David conquered the small ancient Canaanite hilltop city.
What could they hold? Some experts think the chambers might have been used for storing valuable objects, perhaps sacred scrolls or ritual items. Others wonder if they were meeting places for priests or leaders. There is even the possibility that they were secret hiding spots during times of danger. Right now, no one knows for sure. And here is the catch. The rooms cannot be opened, at least not yet. Because the Temple Mount is such a sensitive site, any attempt to dig could spark tension. For now, scientists must rely only on technology to peek inside. This is both thrilling and frustrating. Thrilling because the mystery is so huge. Frustrating because the answers remain just out of reach. Even with this challenge, the discovery is groundbreaking. It proves that modern technology can reveal the past without moving a single stone. These sealed chambers, untouched for almost 3,000 years, give us a rare time capsule into the world of ancient Jerusalem. They also remind us of how much history still lies hidden, waiting to be found. The discovery beneath the Temple Mount is more than stone walls and dark passages. It is a doorway into forgotten stories. It shows how faith, history, and mystery are deeply tied together in this city. Each scan brings us closer to learning the truth, and one day, perhaps, the world will finally know what secrets have been waiting in the dark for nearly 3,000 years. But this is only the first piece of the puzzle. What the scientists found inside these sealed rooms will make you question everything you thought you knew about ancient worship. The shrine. Beneath the Temple Mount, right near the place where Solomon's temple once stood, scientists have found something that feels like stepping straight into the past. Hidden away for almost 3,000 years, they uncovered a shrine that has stayed untouched by time. What they discovered inside makes it one of the most amazing finds in history. The shrine is not just one room, it is made up of 8 rooms, each one carefully built and connected. The most surprising part is how perfect the rooms are. They were sealed so tightly that time never damaged them. Wars raged above, kingdoms rose and fell, but these rooms stayed safe. No thief ever entered, no flame ever burned them, no hand ever moved the objects inside. It is like a time capsule, waiting to be opened. Inside the shrine, scientists found objects used in rituals long ago. There are oil presses and wine basins, tools that would have been used in sacred ceremonies. Imagine priests pressing oil for offerings or pouring wine into basins to honor their god. These items are not broken or scattered. They sit there as if they were just set down yesterday, perfectly preserved for us to see today. In one of the rooms stands a stone, tall and solid. This is called a standing stone, or masibah. In ancient times, such stones often symbolized the presence of God. People would gather around them, pray beside them, and treat them as holy.
Solomon decides to build a temple in Jerusalem. The temple becomes the home of God.
To find one here, beneath the Temple Mount, makes the discovery even more powerful. It shows that this place has been sacred ground for countless generations. The shrine also holds altar slabs. These were flat stones used for offerings. What shocked researchers was that traces of oils and incense were still present on their surfaces. Even after thousands of years, the remains of sacred rituals can be found. Imagine the smell of incense filling the room as ancient worshippers prayed. Those scents may be gone now, but the evidence of them remains, like a faint echo of the past. What makes this shrine even more meaningful is its location. It sits right beneath the Temple Mount, at the very heart of Jerusalem's spiritual history. Being so close to where Solomon's temple once stood means these rooms were not ordinary storage spaces. They were part of a sacred system connected to worship in the ancient city. This adds enormous weight to the discovery. The preservation is what makes this find unlike any other. Across the world, many ancient sites have been destroyed or looted. Time, weather, and war often erase the past, but these 8 rooms escaped it all. It feels almost as if history itself protected them, keeping their secrets hidden until now. This shrine is more than stone walls and objects. It is a message from the people of ancient Jerusalem. It tells us what they valued, how they worshipped, and how deeply faith shaped their lives. For scientists, it is a treasure chest of history. For believers, it is proof that the sacred roots of the Temple Mount run deeper than anyone imagined. It is a time capsule, sealed for nearly 3,000 years and finally revealed. Yet even with all these incredible finds, the shrine holds a secret that challenges one of the most important stories in religious history. What they discovered next will surprise you. Challenge to biblical history. The discovery of the shrine beneath the Temple Mount does more than reveal hidden rooms and sacred objects. It also raises big questions about the history told in the Bible. For centuries, the story has been clear. King Hezekiah, who ruled Judah in the 8th century before Christ, made major reforms. According to the traditional account, he shut down local shrines and altars
Israeli archaeologists believe they've uncovered new evidence about King Hezekiah, and they say it supports the biblical account he destroyed the high places and idols in the land of Israel.
And ordered that all worship should take place only at the temple in Jerusalem. This move was meant to unite the people and focus their devotion on one holy place. But the newly uncovered shrine tells a different story. The 8 rooms, full of ritual tools, altars, and sacred stones, show that worship outside the main temple may not have ended completely. Instead, it looks like smaller groups continued their rituals in secret, keeping their traditions alive even when the king had banned them. This means the story of Hezekiah's reforms may be more complicated than we thought. If this shrine was active during or after Hezekiah's time, it suggests that his reforms were not absolute. People may have followed the rules in public, going to the temple as commanded, but in private they kept older practices alive. This is not surprising when we think about human nature. Faith and tradition run deep, and people often hold on to their ways even when leaders demand change. The idea that worship went underground instead of disappearing completely is powerful. It means the religious life of ancient Jerusalem was not as uniform as the written texts suggest. Instead, it was full of layers: public worship at the temple and private, hidden rituals in secret shrines. This gives us a more colorful and complex picture of faith in that time. It also reminds us that history is rarely as simple as one story. The Bible tells us the ideals and the laws, but archaeology shows us what people actually did. Sometimes they followed the rules, and sometimes they bent them. The shrine beneath the Temple Mount is proof that reality was messier than the official version. The implications are huge. If Hezekiah's reforms were not as complete as once believed, then the entire history of religion in Judah needs to be re-examined. It suggests that the path from local worship to centralized worship at the temple was not a straight line. Instead, it was a struggle, with push and pull between old traditions and new commands. For believers, this does not weaken the faith. Instead, it adds depth. It shows that ancient people faced the same struggles we do today, balancing tradition, authority, and personal devotion. For historians, it is a reminder that every story has more than one side. It tells us that reforms may not have erased local worship, but only pushed it into hidden corners. It reveals that ancient Jerusalem was a place of both unity and diversity in faith. And it reminds us that even after nearly 3,000 years, the past still has surprises waiting to be uncovered. The real proof of this hidden world lies in everyday objects left nearly 3,000 years ago. These simple items reveal secrets of ancient life that will truly amaze you. Artifacts and evidence. The shrine beneath the Temple Mount is not only about walls and chambers. What makes it truly exciting are the objects found inside. These artifacts are simple, everyday items, yet they tell powerful stories. They act like puzzle pieces from nearly 3,000 years ago, helping us picture how people once lived, worked, and worshipped during the first temple period. One of the first discoveries was cooking pots. At first, they may look ordinary, but in this shrine they mean something more. These pots were most likely used to prepare food for offerings. In ancient times, sharing food was often part of worship. Meals and sacrifices went hand in hand with prayer. The fact that these pots survived untouched shows just how important they were to sacred rituals. Another group of finds was loom weights. Loom weights are heavy little stones used to hold threads tight while weaving cloth. Why would weaving tools appear inside a shrine? The answer could be that textiles were made for holy purposes. Priests may have worn special garments woven for ceremonies, or sacred objects may have been wrapped in fabric. This shows us that faith was not only about prayer, but also about the work of skilled hands. People honored the divine not only with words, but also with crafts. Scarabs were also discovered inside the shrine. These are small carved stones in the shape of beetles, and they were very common in Egypt. Scarabs symbolized life, protection, and rebirth. Finding them here in Jerusalem suggests strong ties between Judah and Egypt. It proves that Jerusalem was not cut off from the world, but connected to larger networks of trade and culture. People mixed ideas and symbols, and this shrine holds the evidence of that blending. Even more fascinating were the seals and pieces of pottery with writing on them.
Some monumental news: a rare stone seal from the First Temple period, approximately 2,700 years old, has been discovered in a major archaeological excavation.
Seals were used to stamp clay with symbols or names, marking ownership or authority. Pottery with inscriptions shows that people in this time were literate and organized. They kept records, marked their belongings, and even left personal names behind. These small details tell us that the shrine was not just a place of prayer, but also a place where identity and order mattered. Together, these artifacts paint a vivid picture. They connect directly to the First Temple period, placing the shrine firmly within that chapter of history. They also reveal something bigger, that local worship continued even when official reforms tried to stop it. The Bible tells us that King Hezekiah ordered all worship to be centered in the temple. But the objects in this shrine show that smaller private practices lived on. This changes how we understand ancient Jerusalem. It shows that worship was not only about grand ceremonies in the temple, it was also about quiet rituals in hidden places using pots, fabrics, symbols, and words. People carried on their traditions even when they were told to stop. The artifacts from beneath the Temple Mount are more than objects. They are voices from the past. They tell us that people found ways to keep their faith alive, no matter the rules. And they remind us that history is not always simple. It is full of secrets waiting to be uncovered, even after nearly 3,000 years. Among all these fascinating objects, one discovery stands out above the rest. This single stone has survived when countless others were destroyed, and its story will give you chills. The standing stone. Among all the discoveries beneath the Temple Mount, one object feels especially powerful: the standing stone. This was no ordinary stone. In the ancient world, a standing stone, or massabah, was a sacred marker of God's presence. People prayed near it, honored it, and saw it as a bridge between heaven and earth. To uncover one here, still whole after nearly 3,000 years, makes the find even more extraordinary. The standing stone is important because it survived when others did not. The Bible tells us that King Hezekiah, in the 8th century before Christ, carried out major reforms. He shut down local shrines and altars and ordered that worship should happen only at the temple in Jerusalem. As part of this effort, many standing stones were destroyed. They were seen as reminders of older traditions, and removing them was meant to bring people closer to one central place of worship. Yet this stone remained. Its survival is a mystery, but it also tells a story. The stone was not broken, removed, or forgotten. Instead, it was sealed away beneath the Temple Mount, where it stayed hidden through centuries of war and change. While others vanished, this one endured. Its presence shows that the old ways of worship did not disappear completely. Some traditions were preserved, quietly and carefully, even while new laws were enforced. The fact that the stone was kept safe shows how deeply people valued it. For the people of ancient Jerusalem, symbols like this carried meaning that went beyond rules or reforms. They connected communities to their past, to their faith, and to the land they lived on. Preserving the stone may have been an act of devotion, a way of holding on to something that could not be replaced. This survival also shows that the story of Hezekiah's reforms is more complex than once believed. The reforms may have been strong, but they were not absolute. Faith was never shaped only by kings or priests. It was also shaped by the people themselves, who found ways to protect the symbols and practices that mattered to them. The standing stone is proof that devotion could not be erased by decree. For historians, the stone is a key piece of evidence. It reminds us that official stories tell only part of the truth. Real life was layered. People may have followed new rules in public but held on to older traditions in private. The standing stone stands as a witness to that balance between authority and belief. For believers, it is a powerful reminder of the resilience of faith. The stone, untouched for almost 3 millennia, still carries the weight of meaning placed on it so long ago. It survived kings, wars, and centuries of silence. Today, it speaks again, showing that some symbols are too sacred to ever be lost. The standing stone beneath the Temple Mount is more than a rock. It is a survivor of history, a link to the faith of ancient Jerusalem, and a sign that the deepest parts of human devotion endure across time. This remarkable find has sent shockwaves around the world, but not everyone is celebrating. The reactions from different groups reveal just how powerful this discovery really is. Global impact and controversy. The discovery of the shrine beneath the Temple Mount has not only changed how we see ancient Jerusalem, but it has also stirred global reactions. What was found underground touches faith, politics, and history, all at once. Because the Temple Mount is sacred to Jews, Muslims, and Christians,
while Muslims gathered to pray and protest, among them, a man with a crucifix and Bible in hand.
every new finding there has deep meaning and often sparks debate. Jewish scholars have been quick to study the shrine and its artifacts. Some see the discovery as a challenge to the traditional story of King Hezekiah's reforms. For centuries, it was believed that his changes fully centralized worship at the temple. But the evidence of secret shrines suggests that local worship continued in some form. This is forcing scholars to re-examine parts of religious history and to consider that the reforms may not have been as complete as once thought. Muslim leaders, on the other hand, are concerned about how the research is carried out. The Dome of the Rock, one of the holiest sites in Islam, sits on the Temple Mount. Any talk of underground exploration makes many worry about the safety and respect of the site. They see the preservation of the dome and its surrounding structures as essential, and even non-invasive research is sometimes viewed with caution. Christian clergy are also responding. For them, the Temple Mount is tied to the time of Jesus, who walked in and around Jerusalem. Discovering a hidden shrine that survived for nearly 3,000 years raises questions about the religious environment of that era. It gives new insight into the mix of worship practices still alive during and after the First Temple period. Some Christian thinkers are reflecting on how this affects our understanding of Jesus' teachings and the world in which he lived. Beyond religion, the discovery has stirred political tension. The Temple Mount has long been one of the most contested places in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Both sides see it as central to their identity and heritage. New findings beneath it raise questions about who has the authority to study, protect, and interpret what lies below. Every new artifact can become a piece of political debate, shaping how history is told and by whom. The discovery also adds pressure to the delicate system of site management. Right now, the Temple Mount is overseen by a mix of religious and political authorities, and any changes to that arrangement are sensitive. Some groups may use the find to argue for greater control, while others may call for stricter limits on archaeological work.
Today on this special edition of Jerusalem Dateline, excavations in the Judean desert unearthed the biggest archaeological find since the Dead Sea Scrolls.
The debate is not only about history, but also about power and ownership. For the academic world, this discovery is groundbreaking. It challenges the long-held belief that worship in ancient Judah became fully centralized after Hezekiah's reforms. Instead, it shows a more complex picture, with local practices continuing even when official policy said otherwise. This forces historians to rethink the timeline of how religion developed in Jerusalem and how authority and faith interacted. The global impact of the shrine beneath the Temple Mount is clear. It is not only about what was found, but also about what it means to billions of people today. The discovery touches on faith, sparks political debate, and reshapes academic study. It reminds us that the past is never just history. It is alive, shaping beliefs, conflicts, and conversations across the world. With so much at stake, every decision about this site becomes a moral dilemma. The choices made next could change everything, and the reasons why might surprise you. Ethical considerations. The discovery beneath the Temple Mount has amazed the world, but it has also opened a door to deep ethical questions. Archaeologists, religious leaders, and governments now face a moral dilemma. The balance between discovery and respect has never been more delicate. One of the biggest concerns is how far exploration should go. The chambers that have already been mapped are incredible, but going deeper could lead to greater risks. Digging too much might damage the structures above, including holy sites like the Dome of the Rock. Even the idea of further excavation can alarm communities who fear that their sacred spaces might be disturbed. Choosing how much to explore and when to stop is a challenge with no easy answer. Another issue is who gets to make these decisions. The Temple Mount is claimed by multiple faiths and controlled by a fragile system of political and religious authorities. Deciding whether to protect the site as it is or to allow more research is not simply a matter of science. It involves trust, negotiation, and sometimes conflict. Scholars want to uncover the past, but leaders must also think about the present and the people who live with the consequences of those choices. There are also real risks tied to every new discovery. Each artifact, each chamber, can spark new debates about history and identity. These debates often move beyond classrooms and books. They can fuel anger, protests, or even violence. The Temple Mount has already been a flashpoint many times in history. Adding new layers of discovery can bring pride and wonder, but it can also reopen old wounds. This makes every step forward in research a step that must be taken with extreme care. The moral dilemma is not about whether knowledge is good or bad. It is about timing, method, and respect. Archaeologists dream of uncovering the past in full detail, but the cost of moving too quickly could be high. The challenge is to find ways to study without sparking conflict, to reveal without destroying, and to learn without disrespecting the faiths of billions of people. The consequences of getting this balance wrong could be severe. A single misstep could lead to diplomatic tension between nations. It could create division between religious groups. In the worst case, it could even spark violence. This is why many argue for caution, even if it means leaving mysteries unsolved for now. Protecting peace and respect must come first. At the same time, the discoveries already made remind us of the value of careful research. They show us that history still has secrets hidden in plain sight, waiting to reshape what we know. The key is to move slowly, with sensitivity, and with the awareness that the Temple Mount is more than an archaeological site. It is a living symbol of faith and identity for millions. In the end, the ethical question is not only about science or religion, it is about responsibility. The discoveries beneath the Temple Mount belong to all humanity, but they rest on sacred ground. How they are handled will show whether we can honor both the past and the present at the same time. Even with all we've learned, the biggest mysteries are still waiting in the darkness. What else lies hidden beneath Jerusalem will keep you wondering. Unanswered questions. The shrine beneath the Temple Mount has amazed the world, yet the discovery does not close the story of ancient Jerusalem. Instead, it opens the door to mysteries that are still waiting in silence. The rooms, the artifacts, and the standing stone give us powerful clues. but they also remind us that the past holds more secrets than we can yet see. There is still so much hidden under Jerusalem. The city is nearly 5,000 years old and has been built and rebuilt many times. Each generation left its mark, and layer upon layer of history lies beneath the streets. The fact that one shrine could survive untouched for almost 3,000 years shows that the ground under Jerusalem still holds treasures. Beneath stone and soil, more rooms, passages, and artifacts may be waiting, each one carrying its own story. The survival of the shrine itself feels like a wonder. For centuries, Jerusalem has faced war, fire, and conquest. Armies marched through, kingdoms rose and fell, and yet the shrine remained safe. It was not damaged, stolen, or lost. It stayed hidden, as if time itself protected it. This survival shows how strong human intention can be. Someone long ago sealed it away, and that act preserved it for the world to see today. The findings from the shrine reveal much about faith and power in ancient Jerusalem. Officially, worship was supposed to happen at the Great Temple, especially after the reforms of King Hezekiah. But the shrine shows that people continued to honor their traditions in smaller, hidden spaces. Faith was not erased by royal commands. It continued quietly, carried by people who believed in the old ways. This makes the picture of Jerusalem's religious life richer and more human. Worship was both public and private, both celebrated openly and practiced in secret. The artifacts also speak to daily life in the First Temple period. Cooking pots show that food was part of worship. Loom weights reveal that textiles may have been made for sacred use. Scarabs link Jerusalem to the culture of Egypt. Seals and inscribed pottery prove that writing and record-keeping were part of even these private shrines. Each object connects the people of the past with the present, bridging thousands of years. The standing stone is the most powerful symbol of all. Many other stones like it were destroyed during Hezekiah's reforms, but this one survived. Its presence suggests that faith cannot always be shaped by rulers alone. People hold on to symbols that matter deeply to them. The stone endured because it carried meaning that went beyond politics or reform. It still carries that meaning today, standing as a link between the ancient and the modern. The shrine beneath the Temple Mount is more than an archaeological discovery. It is a reminder that history is never simple or finished. Ancient Jerusalem was not just one story, but many stories woven together. Stories of kings and priests, but also of families, workers, and believers who found ways to keep their faith alive. More shrines may remain buried, more artifacts may wait to be found, and more voices from the past may one day speak again. Until then, the shrine stands as a bridge across time, keeping alive the memory of a city that still has much to tell. This incredible discovery beneath the Temple Mount is just the beginning. Ancient secrets, sacred objects, and hidden history are waiting to be revealed. Stay curious, follow the updates, and witness as researchers continue to unlock Jerusalem's mysteries layer by layer.